Bag alert, bag alert, bag alert, bag alert, bag alert, folks. That's right. Evan McPherson inks a new deal. Gilly goes to the Vikings. Steelers. Yes, we have to talk about the Steelers, unfortunately. Yes, we do. Steelers and Bills. We got to talk about that game. We also got to talk about the Ravens and Falcons game. And we got a shocking revelation that has come out. Tua finally speaks on the relationship and the tenure of Brian Flores when he was the head coach for the Miami Dolphins. All of this and more. It's going to be. I'm going to try to keep this a pretty short episode. But if it doesn't, well then hey, it is what it is. But guess what? All of this and more on the 25th episode. That's right. We're only 5 episodes away from hitting the 30 episode mark, and I cannot wait. Cannot wait. Okay. But until then, guess what? We're going to keep this thing going because why? You are listening to Back Row Dominus. You are listening to your chief bag meteorologist. You are listening to the man who has made predictions that are going to come forth in the next 3 years, who was currently looking at draft classes 3 years in advance, who currently right now is a GM, former GM, who's now on the team right now, who currently has interviews lined up right now for assistant GM positions, but I'm not taking them right now because we got to get ready for the season, okay? Right now, we are in the great state of Texas, okay? Eating some good Texas brisket, okay? You already know what I'm getting ready to say because we all are going to say the same thing. I am your host, Kale. You already know what time it is. Lock in. All right, folks. So let's just you know what? Let's just go. Let's just go into everything. Okay, we're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to try to stall. We're not going to try to do any of these types of things right now. Okay, we're just going to go into the nook and cranny of all these topics because there's a lot to talk about. We're going to try to keep this very, very, very short as possible. Okay, so Evan McPherson, kicker for the Cincinnati Bengals, aka the Cincinnati Bungles, okay, inked a 3-year, $16.5 million deal to stay with the Bengals. He gets $5.5 million a year. Okay, now not a whole lot to talk about this. Team friendly deal, good deal, got it done. Someone got paid. That's all that matters. Nothing too in depth to really go over with this signing. We have started to see that teams have prioritized kickers and punters more lately than what they used to, and it shows with the market somewhat resetting as frequent as it has been lately. When you have people like him and you have Harrison Butker and Justin Tucker and Elliott for the Eagles and kickers like that. I mean they do have to get paid pretty fairly. So, and it shows, with Evan McPherson getting his deal. Now, congratulations to him. Let's keep this party started. Okay, well, not the party started. Let's keep this party going. What am I saying? What's going on with me, right? I think it's the brisket. I think the brisket got to me. Now, moving on to other things. Okay, so Stephon Gilmore, corner, inked a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Vikings. Okay, he gets $7 million in total guarantees. Now, when you look at it, a team like the Vikings have definitely been in the market for a corner, for a while, especially, with the sudden passing of Kyrie Jackson. I think it's safe to say that they don't have, well, this is what I'll say. The defense is lacking, especially, with them losing Danielle Hunter to free agency. So, having someone like a Stephon Gilmore who can be that veteran presence and somewhat, build up the corners that they do have on that team, definitely, is a good, a good situation, honestly. Not to mention, there's a New England connection there because why? Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator over there, with them. So, you have that connection in place and whatnot. So all in all, it's a pretty good deal. You're getting a corner that can still go to toe. I can't even speak. It definitely is the brisket who can still go toe to toe with some of the best corners in the league, right? You're talking about somebody who can play both inside and outside, as well as make tackles and do whatever he is asked and needed to do. So I mean, all in all, it was a great signing. Me personally, I definitely wanted the Steelers to go after Stephon Gilmore, but clearly that's not that's not a priority, I guess. So here we are. But honestly speaking, here I am definitely surprised that he was able to get the deal that he got. Simply because teams may try to play the you're a little bit up in age game, and all those different type of tactics to try to convince players to take less and all those different type of things. But for him to still have a market, and for him to get the deal that he got, that definitely shows that he still does have a strong market within the league, and that teams still do view him as a very versatile corner, despite him being up in age, because we've seen corners do not age that well. They don't. Some corners have aged, gracefully, and then there's others that have just been like it's just a nosedive. I'm talking about a straight nosedive down. So, all in all, congratulations to Stephon Gilmore. Vikings, you guys just got somebody great, and hopefully that maybe in practice you can have a one-on-one matchup with him and Justin Jefferson, which actually might make Justin Jefferson actually a whole lot better as well. So all in all, it's a great situation. It really is. So congratulations to them. Now we do have to we would definitely do have to talk about it. So the Steelers and Bills game. Now before we go any further, I just want to let everybody know I had to think over this. I had to sleep on it. I had to drink some water over it. I had to do a whole lot of things just to find the words to say about this, right? And this is what I will say. I'm just going to be completely honest here. Relax. 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 Okay? The reason why I'm saying that is because this is why the preseason is important, because you're able to see the nicks and the weaknesses of your team, correct? And so sometimes when you're seeing the preseason games, sometimes our emotions can alter and sort of cloud our judgment and our opinions about our team, because it definitely did for me. It definitely did. But this is what I will say, because I know everybody's been talking about Broderick Jones. Yes, Broderick Jones should be playing at left tackle. Yes, that is a point that I can definitely agree on, that he does need to be taking more reps at left tackle. If everyone has been saying, from Omar to Tomlin to Mr. Rooney himself, if everyone has been saying that he's supposed to be the franchise left tackle, well then you have to put him over there in order for him to get comfortable at playing left tackle. That's the only way that this thing works. You can't continue to flip-flop him and have him play right tackle and then left tackle and then left tackle to right tackle. You can't continue to do that. At some point, he has to get his footing at one position. That's just what it is at the end of the day. Why is it that, basically Broderick has basically been shuffled at different positions, but we're keeping Dan Moore strictly at left tackle? And mind you, this is the same person that, everybody complains about and say that, Dan Moore's not good. It's time for him to, hang it up and go somewhere else, different opportunity, trade him, cut him, whatever the case may be, all those different types of things. But it's like y'all don't give Broderick Jones an adequate, leg up in competition. You don't. Because why? He's mainly been at right tackle. May I remind you, folks, that the reason why he played right tackle is because Chooks ran his mouth on the sideline and people were trying to tell him to be quiet, and in doing so, guess what happened? Mike benched him. That's what happened. That's what happened, right? And so I understand, he probably was the best option to play at right tackle. Okay, cool. that season is past. This is a whole different season, right? You drafted Troy Fautano. I get it. Troy Fautano is still hurt. But you still have other people. You have Dylan Cook. You have Spencer Anderson. You still have other people that you can test out at right tackle for now, because you still need somebody behind Troy Fautanu just in case, anything crazy happens. You need that. You do. And how in the world do you know what you have as far as secondary offensive linemen, especially swing tackles, if you don't give them a chance? How? Like, really think about that for a second here, folks. Because honestly, whether we want to admit it or not, yes, this offense is going to go through some difficult times. Okay, it's going to happen. That is the process, the natural process that happens when you have a lot of turnover. The type of turnover that we have had in one offseason. May I remind people, especially Steelers Nation, Kenny is gone. Well, never mind. Kenny is gone. Mason Rudolph is gone. Mitchell Trubisky is gone. All three quarterbacks are gone, right? And so they brought in Kyle Allen, Justin Fields, and then Russell Wilson. That's a lot of turnover. On top of, you trade away Deontay Johnson, you get a new offensive coordinator, you draft another tackle, you draft another center, you draft another guard. The original center, he's basically out for the season with a torn rotator cuff. So now you have to move your rookie center and make him the starting center, right? It's a lot of change. And so what happens is, when there's a lot of change, a team, regardless of what side the ball is, they're going to go through these growing pains. And these growing pains are not fun. They're not. They've never been fun. They're never fun for anybody. But that is why you have preseason in place, so that they can maneuver those type of things. They can build those reps, develop that chemistry, and be prepared for the regular season, right? Because let's be real here. Arthur Smith probably hasn't even used 20% of the real plays that he probably wants to use once the regular season starts, right? These are probably just like, I wouldn't say dummy plays, but these are just like, sort of like the bare minimum type of plays that you probably would use, just for everybody to get comfortable, to, develop reps, chemistry, all those different types of things, right? And even then, when we look at the quarterback, position, although Russ is quote unquote the pole position, which I've never even heard of that term before until this offseason, until Mike Tomlin said it. Although Russ is at the pole position, we've seen that Justin Fields has developed more chemistry with his receivers and the offense compared to Russ. Now, granted, a lot of that is because Russ was hurt in the beginning of training camp because he messed up his calf pushing up a sled, which, again, that was a dumb idea. Why in the world do we continue to do these dumb things? Tomlin, why? Think about that for a second. But, when you look at it, Justin Fields has definitely done a little bit more. And the only reason why I'm saying a little bit more is he can still, extend plays, because why? He's still mobile. He can still run. So, of course that's going to be, a good situation. But as far as anything else, no. At this point, my expectation for the last preseason game is, I want to see the offense, especially the first team offense, be able to put some points on the board. That is my expectation. That is the thing that I want to see. I don't necessarily want to see this dominant game where, like, every single time they get on the field, they're scoring a touchdown first play. I don't want to see that. I want to be able to see them put points on the board. I want to see a level of consistency that shows that, one, this offense is in a good place. Two, there's chemistry. The chemistry is good. And three, the offensive line is together. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see a bunch of, just sloppiness. Because that's basically what we've been seeing lately, is flat out sloppiness when it comes to the offense. The defense is the defense. I don't have nothing to say about the defense, because why? The defense is the defense. You don't have to worry about the defense, because why? The defense is always going to be intact. It is the offense that has been lackluster for the last couple of years. And they have to pick it up. They have to pick it up. The defense can't continue to ball out, every single week. And then the offseason, and then the offense is basically, dragging. They have to, they don't necessarily have to be a top five offense or a top three offense or the best offense in the league. But damn it, you have to be a good offense. You have to be able to, one, chew the clock, weaken the defense, make the defense tired, and put points on the board. That's what you have to. And if you cannot do those things, then we have a bigger problem that needs to be addressed. And I get it. There's still people that are still banking on, the Steelers, possibly trading, trying to trade for someone like a Brandon Ayuk and whatnot. Folks, let me tell you something. If you think that trade is going to go down, if you think that that's going to move the needle, if you think that's going to, be a dynamic type of change, you are sadly mistaken. You are. Okay? He has been in the headlines basically almost all summer long. It's drawing out too long. It's just unnecessary at this point. We need to continue to move forward with the idea that someone like a Brandon Ayuk is not going to be on this team. Now, maybe later in the season, someone might be available that, it'll be a better situation and an easier situation to, to take care of than this. Okay, cool, fine. But to say that, you need someone like a Brandon Ayuk, no, you don't. You don't need a Brandon Ayuk. I'm not getting into it. If you want to hear why, there are at least a few episodes before this one that I have said it multiple times on why Brandon Ayuk is a bad move for the Steelers. So all in all, I just want to see improvement. I want to have a little bit of momentum, with the offense in this preseason game that can be sort of carried into the first week of the season. That's what I want to see, because may I remind Steelers Nation that they have to go up against the Falcons. And the Falcons have made a lot of moves in this offseason. They have. They got a stable quarterback in Kirk Cousins. They still have the weapons. What is it, Drake London? Yeah, Drake London. You still have Kyle Pitts, and you have Bijan Robinson. You have the offensive line. Look at the defense. Judon, Grady Jarrett, Justin Simmons, Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell. They got some dogs on that team. That's not a team that you can't just, sleep on and whatnot. No, you got to ball out now. Because if you don't, you're going to have another situation like how we did last season, where we took the Texans for granted, and guess what they did? They ran over us. They beat us. They beat us down. And you don't want that. You don't want to be embarrassed. You just don't. Especially with a lot of things that are riding on this season, you need to come out guns. You need to be able to, to let people know, like, hey, listen, we can be a dark horse. We're going to be a team that is going to be a thorn in your side, as the season progresses. But again, done with them. Now, moving on to the other game that definitely caught my attention. The Ravens and Falcons, right? So, this is probably somewhat of a hot take. Me personally, I feel like the Ravens should probably go and get another backup quarterback. I truly believe that. And the reason why I say that is because if they get someone like a Ryan Tannehill that can be a backup, that's a good backup right there. That's a really good backup, because right now, can you really trust Josh Johnson? Can you really trust the other quarterback as well? No, you can't. You just can't. But if you have someone like a Ryan Tannehill who, if you need him to, to finish the game, he can do it. If you need him to play a game, he can do it, right? Because everything is already in place. You got Derrick Henry, you got the receiving core, you got Mark Andrews, perfectly fine. Okay, cool. Also, I do believe that the Ravens are definitely going to be highly involved in trying to get another guard. I don't know what it is with Ben Cleveland. I think they just do not believe in Ben Cleveland at all. I think Ben Cleveland is not a good guard. I think at best he could probably be maybe a good backup guard. I just don't think he's a good starting guard. I don't. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens, try to do a little bit of digging and maybe try to see if they can pick up somebody from cut down day or, trades or whatever the case may be personally. And I do think they probably do need another pass rusher. I do. Because they cannot rely just on, Adafe Owe and David Ajabo to try to bail them out, and then Kyle Van Noy. Okay, this isn't the same Kyle Van Noy from the Patriots, right? This is a Kyle Van Noy that he could probably give you 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 or 7 sacks, this season, right? This isn't someone that's gonna be as consistent like how he was in his previous years. Now, granted, if we're being real here, I think a move that's not really being talked about as much that definitely hurt them was Jadeveon Clowney, going to the Panthers. I do believe that because if they had Jadeveon, I think they still would have been in a really good place, right? I really do believe that. I really do. But, David Ajabo really, I mean, there was definitely some flashes. There was definitely some flashes. It definitely, was looking good. It really was. And, I'm still rooting for David Ajabo because, when he was coming out of Michigan, he was projected to be a first round pick. The only reason why he fell was because he messed up his Achilles during his pro day. That's the only reason why. And, do you want to take that risk and have him, play, and have him take, 10, 15, 20, maybe, more reps? Do you really want to do that? Or do you want to try to bring in another pass rusher and maybe try to see if you can, do something with it at this point? Like these are serious conversations that the Ravens are probably having behind closed doors because although yes they are still a very competitive team, there is a lot of holes that do need to be addressed in order for them to really be as competitive as what they need to be. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, Ravens fans. I could be wrong, Mook, but that's just how I personally feel. I feel like if they go and they get a guard, and if they get another good pass rusher, it doesn't necessarily have to be, a well-known pass rusher, but just someone that can, that can do something. I think they're going to be in a good spot. I think they're going to be in a really good spot, personally. As far as everything else, the Ravens are the Ravens. Their defensive line, I think it definitely needs to be buffed up a little bit more too, especially the interior, because outside of Justin Matabuke, I mean, and I think they still have Brent Urban, if I'm not mistaken. You probably do need maybe somebody else because the Falcons were running the ball. They were running. I'm talking about parting the Red Sea type of running, okay? And if you're a Ravens fan, you probably don't like to see that personally. You just don't. So, let's wait and see. Maybe EDC will do something. Maybe not. I don't know. But hey, let's see. Now, on to the bigger topic that's definitely been talked about lately, and I think that does need to be addressed. So Tua has finally spoken out about his relationship with Brian Flores, former Miami Dolphins head coach, on the Dan Le Batard show. Shout out to Dan Le Batard, by the way, for putting out this great content. Now, I'm just going to read the quote. It's going to be a long quote, so bear with me, folks. But I'm going to read the quote, and then we're going to, discuss it, okay? Cool. So basically, this is what Tua said on Brian Flores, and I quote, "If you woke up every morning and I told you that you suck at what you did, that you don't belong doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this right, and then you have somebody else come in and tell you, dude, you are the best fit for this. You are accurate. You are the best whatever. You are this. You are that. How would that make you feel listening to one or the other? You see what I'm saying? And then you hear it regardless of what it is, the good or the bad, and you hear it more and more. You start to actually believe that. I don't care who you are. You could be the president of the United States. If you have a terrible person that's telling you things that you don't want to hear or probably shouldn't be hearing, you're going to start to believe that about yourself." That's sort of what ended up happening. It's basically been 2 years of training that out of me. Not just me, but a couple of the guys as well as that have been here since my rookie year all the way till now. Now, this is a very, bombshell of a quote when it comes to Tua, because, he's finally been able to speak about this, because let's be real here, folks. Brian, that entire situation with Brian Flores and the Dolphins was not a good situation. It was just a nasty situation all around. It really was, because when we really look at it, right? Although the defense was pretty good, you can tell that Tua mentally was not there. You can tell that at times in the season he was definitely checked out mentally, and that his confidence, his self confidence about himself was definitely down. You can definitely see that, and it showed, right? And this somewhat opens up to another bigger conversation. That, listen, those coaches that were under that was under Bill Belichick have not been successful. They have not. They have not been successful, and they are under the impression that they can act like and do the same thing that Bill Belichick did with Tom Brady. Let me tell you something here, folks. That relationship between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, you will never see a relationship like that ever again. You're talking about somebody who verbally would, basically pick apart every single minute detail that Tom Brady was doing. And Tom took it on the chin. Tom took it on the chin. He took it on the chin, and he just kept on pushing, and he improved himself, and he got better, right? And, those coaches, Matt Patricia, I think, well, not Joe Douglas. I forgot his name. He was the coach for the Giants, for a moment. Brian Flores, Josh McDaniels, everywhere they went as head coaches have been a shit show, just an all out shit show. I'm talking about the biggest shit show you could possibly think of. Because why? They think that, guess what? If Bill can do it, I can do it, and that's the wrong mentality to have. That's why Josh McDaniels got fired the way that he got fired. Because why? He thought that he was Bill. He thought that he could do the same thing that Bill do, and it don't work like that. It don't. And not to mention, their production wasn't really that good either. When you look at it, that's why with the whole situation with Matt Patricia, that's why Darius Slay wanted to get traded to the Eagles, because he could not handle. I mean, not handle, but it was just so much, just downright just harassment from someone like a Matt Patricia, that he's just like, no, the hell with this. I can go. I don't have to be here. I can go. Because what you're not going to do is just disrespect me like this. You're just not going to do it. I'm sorry. I'm a grown man just like you. You're just not going to do that. So, and it shows. It definitely shows. We can, if we can be real here, that's probably why ownership probably took and changed the mindset that they did, because of what happened with Brian Flores. There were multiple reporters, insiders, you name it, that were reporting these things, that there was a lot of friction in that locker room and on that team with Brian Flores and company. There were a lot of players that were definitely rubbed the wrong way. Tua wasn't the only person. Tua was just the only person that's come out publicly about it and said something about it. But for Tua to show this level of strength, to finally talk about it, definitely says a lot. That he's finally come to peace and come to terms, with this, with that point in his career. And now that he has, he definitely looks like he's in a better place. He does, and it shows. When they hired, Mike McDaniel, they definitely made a lot of changes. Revamped the offensive line, traded for Tyreek Hill, got Jalen Waddle, got Raheem Mostert, and company. They just surrounded, Tua with just, not only weapons, but they tried to build up his confidence even more, which is important, because if your quarterback does not have any confidence, they're really not going to show. They're not going to, be able to really, when their mentals won't be there, basically, is what I'm saying, right? And, it definitely looked like and sounded like Brian Flores was definitely, destroying his confidence, week by week. And that probably took a toll on Tua. It probably did. And it shows. And, not to be disrespectful, but that's probably why Brian Flores didn't get another head coaching, opportunity because they probably heard about all of those things. They GMs and owners and whatnot, they probably heard more in-depth information about what happened with Brian Flores when he was in Miami than what we will probably ever know, right? And they're probably like, no, we just can't have that. And that's why you see a lot of times a lot of those coaches from that Bill Belichick tree do not, transition and get head coaching jobs because why? For one, they're just their mentality to players is somewhat similar to Bill's, and players nowadays, they don't want that. They don't care about that. They don't give a damn about that. But what they do value though is respect. And if you as a coach are not giving them the respect, and if you are not trying to coach them and to help them to be better, but instead you are more of like being an ass about every single small little thing and just being anal about every like little detail and what they're not doing and how they're not the best and that they're never going to be anything, like that weighs on you mentally. Like imagine coming to work every single day and your boss basically tells you you're shit, you're a horrible employee, you're the worst employee I've ever had. You'll never be anything. You'll never progress. You'll never, achieve your goals and all those different types of things. At first, it won't affect you, but as time goes on, it starts to get into your psyche, and then as time, really continues to go on, at some point you'll start believing those things, and that's somewhat, what happened, with Tua's situation. He somewhat believed that he, didn't deserve to, be a quarterback for the Dolphins, didn't deserve to, to do the best that he could do. And it basically took for them to fire Brian Flores and to bring in someone like a Mike McDaniels to be like, hey, listen, we're going to build you up. We're going to figure out, what your weakness is. We're going to try to master them as best as possible. And we're going to try to work with you and try to make you a better quarterback. And it shows because, why? He got the big deal. That signals that he is the franchise, quarterback. They made, a lot of, great moves just to surround him with, weapons and pieces and whatnot. So all in all, they definitely made the right decision now than to keep Brian Flores because, again, like I said before, earlier on into this episode, it just sounded like it was just a storm of just bull every single day with that team. But I'm going to end it here. We're going to keep it live. We're going to keep it, keep it light, keep it right. If you guys like what you guys are listening to, please leave a 5-star review on whatever podcasting platform that you guys listen to, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, RSS feed, wherever that you can get the Football Junkies podcast on, okay? You can follow us on YouTube at football_junkies pod. Again, that's football_junkies pod. To my YouTube people, like, share, subscribe, turn that notification bell on, leave a comment down below what you think. What are your comments? What are your thoughts? Especially my Dolphins fans, my Ravens fans, especially my Steelers fans. Come on, let's really have a conversation here. What else? Follow us on Instagram at football_junkies pod. Again, that's football_junkies pod. Junkies pod is not spaced out. It's together. You can follow us on TikTok at football_junkies pod as well. And as always, I hope I gave you guys the fix that you guys need. Also, apparently, Adam Schefter is basically reporting that, there's a chance that things could heat up between, with the whole Brandon Ayuk saga, and there probably could be an end to this, conundrum. So who knows? Maybe when this episode comes out, maybe we'll finally find something out. Once it does break, we will, talk about it, report about it, and all those different types of things. So as always, I hope I gave you guys the fix that you love and or need. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much for your support. We're only 5 episodes away from 30 episodes. I know. Cannot wait. As always, peace and love. I'm out.